I pulled up to Uncle Michael's house with a knot in my stomach. 3 years had passed since I attended our annual family reunion. 3 years since my brother Jack ran off with my wife Sarah, leaving me broken and betrayed. Now here I was, finally ready to face everyone again. As I walked inside, my heart stopped. There they were, Jack and Sarah standing together in the corner. Jack spotted me first. With a smirk, he loudly announced, "Still single. No one loves you." Haha. Sarah joined in. "You are still that sad guy we ditched, right?" That is when Uncle Michael slammed his fist on the table. "Shut up. There is something important you two need to know," before humiliating him. Their faces went white like ghosts when. Let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button before we dive into what made them look so terrified. I grew up in a modest neighborhood in Boston with my younger brother Jack. Our parents worked long hours at their respective jobs, which meant Jack and I spent most of our childhood looking after each other. As the older brother, I naturally fell into the role of protector and mentor. When neighborhood bullies targeted Jack for his smaller stature, I was always there to step in. I taught him how to ride a bike, helped him with homework, and stayed up late explaining math problems the night before big tests. "Tony, you are the best big brother ever," Jack would say, his eyes full of admiration. Those moments made all the sacrifices worthwhile. Our parents, though, hard-working and well-intentioned, often showed clear favoritism toward Jack. "He is the baby of the family," Mom would explain, when I questioned why Jack got new sneakers while mine had holes. "He needs extra attention." Dad would proudly display Jack's B- report cards on the refrigerator while my straight tine, as were met with casual nods. Despite this, I never resented my brother. When college acceptance letters arrived, I made the difficult decision to postpone my education. Instead of attending state university on a partial scholarship, I took a job at a local construction company to help support the family and ensure Jack could attend the private college he had set his heart on. "You are making a mistake," my guidance counselor warned. "You should put yourself first for once." But seeing the pride in Jack's eyes when he received his acceptance letter made it all worth it. "I will make you proud, Tony," he promised. "One day, I will pay you back for everything." During those early years, I channeled my ambition into learning every aspect of the construction business. By 27, I had saved enough to start my own small contracting company. The first few years were lean, but my reputation for honest work and reliability gradually earned me a steady stream of clients. It was at a local charity fair where my company had sponsored a booth that I first met Sarah. With auburn hair and a smile that lit up her entire face, she captivated me immediately. She was volunteering at the bake sale booth across from mine. "Your brownies look dangerous," I joked when she offered me a sample. "Only to your waistline," she replied with a playful wink that made my heart skip. Our courtship was simple but meaningful. Coffee dates turned into dinner dates, which evolved into weekend getaways. Sarah appreciated the small things, like handwritten notes I would leave in her lunch or wildflowers picked from the side of the road. When I proposed after a year of dating, her tearful yes felt like the beginning of everything I had ever wanted. Our wedding was modest but perfect, held in my parents' backyard with close friends and family. Jack served as my best man, giving a speech that moved everyone to tears. "My brother has been my hero since before I could walk," he said, raising his glass. "Sarah, you are getting not just a husband, but the most loyal, hardworking man I have ever known." Those first years of marriage were beautiful. Sarah supported my growing business, helping with accounting in the evenings after her job as a dental hygienist. She understood my long hours and celebrated every new contract with homemade dinners. I felt like the luckiest man alive. When Jack graduated and struggled to find work in his field, I immediately offered him a position at my company. Though he had no experience in construction management, I created a role overseeing client relations, playing to his natural charisma and communication skills. I introduced him to my business network, vouched for him with important clients, and mentored him just as I had done throughout our childhood. What I did not notice then were the subtle changes. How Jack's gratitude gradually transformed into entitlement, how his eyes would linger on Sarah during family dinners, how Sarah began mentioning Jack in casual conversation more frequently than seemed natural. "Jack showed me this amazing new restaurant downtown," she would say. Or, "Jack thinks we should invest in that new development by the river." I was too busy growing the business to notice these red flags. Too trusting to question why my brother and wife were spending time together without me. Too confident in our bonds of marriage and brotherhood to imagine they could ever be betrayed. At family gatherings, my parents continued their pattern of favoring Jack. Tony was always good with his hands, but Jack here has the business mind my father would boast completely, overlooking the fact that I had built the company from nothing, while Jack merely stepped into a ready-made position. "You should listen to Jack's ideas more," my mother would suggest, as if I was holding my brother back rather than providing him opportunities. Occasionally, I would catch an unusual glance between Sarah and Jack, a momentary touch that lingered too long, or a private joke I was not included in. But I dismissed these observations, attributing them to my exhaustion or imagination. After all, they were the two people I trusted most in the world. The first undeniable sign something was wrong came when I accidentally glimpsed a text message on Sarah's phone while she was showering. The notification preview simply read, "Miss you already. Cannot wait to see you tomorrow when he is gone." My stomach dropped, but I convinced myself it must be an innocent exchange with a friend or family member. Yet doubt had taken root, and I began noticing other changes. Sarah grew increasingly distant, criticizing aspects of my personality she had once found endearing. "Do you have to chew so loudly?" she would snap at dinner. "And that laugh of yours is so irritating." When I tried to rekindle our romance with surprise tickets to her favorite band, she seemed annoyed rather than appreciative. "You should have asked me first." I made plans with friends that night. The concert tickets ended up unused on our refrigerator, a small but painful reminder that something was shifting between us. Meanwhile, Jack began canceling our weekly brother lunches. Too busy, he would text offering no explanation. At work, I noticed he had been meeting with clients without informing me, sometimes making promises our company could not fulfill. Still, I tried to save my marriage. I booked a weekend getaway to the beach cottage where we had spent our honeymoon. I started coming home earlier, bringing flowers and small gifts. I suggested marriage counseling, which Sarah reluctantly agreed to, but then found excuses to miss. "I am trying everything I can think of," I confided to Uncle Michael during a rare phone call, "but it feels like I am losing her." "Sometimes people change, Tony," he replied. "But something does not feel right about this. Keep your eyes open." The truth revealed itself on a Tuesday in April. A major client had canceled our meeting at the last minute, so I returned home unexpectedly at 2 in the afternoon. As I pulled into our driveway, I noticed Jack's car parked down the street, partially hidden behind a large oak tree. My hand trembled as I put my key in the lock. The house was quiet, except for muffled voices coming from upstairs. I stood frozen at the foot of the stairs, listening to the unmistakable sounds of intimacy, punctuated by Jack's voice, calling my wife's name. When I pushed open the bedroom door, the look on their faces shifted from shock to something worse, almost relief. As if they were glad to be caught. As if the burden of deception had become too heavy. "How long?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Jack stood reaching for his discarded shirt. 6 months, he answered with a directness that felt like another betrayal. "No denial, no shame. It just happened," Sarah said, clutching the sheet to her chest. "We never meant to hurt you, never meant to hurt me." The absurdity of her statement broke through my shock. "You are sleeping with my brother in our bed." What followed was a hurricane of accusations and revelations. Sarah claimed she had never truly been happy with me, that I was emotionally unavailable, too focused on work. Jack said I had always been too self-satisfied, too certain of my place in the world, to notice what was happening right under my nose. "You had everything handed to you," Jack said, his face twisted with resentment. "The company Sarah's love, our parents' house to live in when you started out. You never had to struggle like I did." The distortion of reality was staggering. Everything I had built had come through sacrifice and hard work. The sacrifices I had made for him specifically. "Get out," I said finally. "Both of you. Now, the divorce was ugly. Sarah demanded half the value of the company in the settlement, arguing she had contributed to its growth through her accounting work. Jack began approaching my employees, offering them positions in a new venture he was planning using connections I had introduced him to. My parents, initially shocked and disapproving, gradually shifted to a position that distributed blame equally. "It takes two to break a marriage," my mother said during one painful conversation. "Maybe if you had been more attentive to Sarah's needs." "Jack made a terrible mistake," my father added, "but he is still your brother. Family should forgive." The betrayal cut deep from all sides. When the divorce finalized, with Sarah receiving a substantial settlement that nearly bankrupted my company, she and Jack disappeared. No goodbyes, no apologies, just rumors that they had moved to the West Coast to start fresh. I spiraled into depression. The company I had built from nothing began losing clients, many following Jack to his new venture. I had to lay off half my staff people who had been with me for years. Sleep became elusive, my nights filled with replaying every moment, searching for signs I had missed. Trust became impossible. I declined invitations, avoided dating, and stopped attending family functions. Even casual interactions became exercises in looking for hidden motives, secret betrayals waiting to happen. For nearly 3 years I existed, rather than lived, going through the motions of running what remained of my business while keeping everyone at a safe distance. The invitation to Uncle Michael's annual family reunion sat on my counter for 2 weeks before I made a decision. My therapist had been encouraging me to confront the past rather than avoid it. Avoidance only prolongs healing. Dr. Patterson had said during our last session, "You have made remarkable progress this past year. Perhaps it is time to test those new boundaries in a controlled environment." She was right. The past year had been transformative. I had rebuilt my company with a new business model focused on eco-friendly renovations, a niche that proved both profitable and personally satisfying. Though smaller than before, the business was thriving with a team I had carefully selected for both skill and integrity. As I drove to Uncle Michael's house, I rehearsed what I would say if family members asked about Jack or Sarah. I planned polite but firm responses to shut down intrusive questions. What I had not prepared for was actually seeing them there. Uncle Michael greeted me with a bear hug. "Proud of you for coming," he whispered in my ear, before leading me inside. Several cousins and my Aunt Barbara welcomed me warmly. My parents offered tentative smiles from across the room. I was fixing a plate at the buffet when the front door opened. The room fell silent as Jack and Sarah walked in hand in hand. They looked expensive, both tan and dressed in designer clothes. Jack had a new Rolex Sarah, a diamond bracelet that caught the light. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Uncle Michael stepped forward. "You were not invited," he said flatly. Jack laughed, a sound I once associated with shared childhood jokes, now twisted with mockery. "Mom invited us. Family is family, right?" My mother looked down, unable to meet my eyes. My father cleared his throat but said nothing. I focused on keeping my breathing steady as Jack approached me directly. "Well, look who it is," he said loudly. "Still single, no one loves you." "Ha-ha," Sarah joined him, her arm possessively linked through his. "You are still that sad guy we ditched, right?" Living in the past while we built a whole new life, I remained silent, their words washing over me without the devastating impact they might have had a year ago. I had done too much work on myself to be pulled back into their toxic narrative. That was when Uncle Michael slammed his fist on the dining room table, making the dishes jump and everyone turn. "Shut up," he growled. "There is something important you two need to know before humiliating him further." Jack rolled his eyes. "What, Uncle Mike going to tell us how Tony has grown as a person?" "Save the inspirational speech." Uncle Michael's smile was cold. "Actually, I was going to tell you about the private investigator I hired 6 months ago. The one who has been documenting your business dealings on the West Coast." The color drained from Jack's face. Sarah's hand tightened on his arm. "What are you talking about?" Jack's voice had lost its confidence. Uncle Michael pulled a folder from a drawer in the sideboard. "I am talking about the 4 investors you defrauded using inside information from Tony's former clients. I am talking about the shell company you and Sarah established to hide assets. I am talking about wire fraud across state lines, which, as you may know, is a federal offense." The room was completely silent now. Sarah had taken a step away from Jack, her eyes darting between him and the folder in Uncle Michael's hand. "That is ridiculous," Jack stammered. "You cannot prove anything." "Actually, he does not need to," I said, speaking for the first time, "because I already provided all that information to the FBI 3 months ago. They have been building a case while monitoring your accounts and communications." Jack's face contorted with rage. "You did what? You are making this up to scare us." I shook my head. "After you left, I started hearing from former clients about investment opportunities you had offered them using proprietary information from my company. I began collecting evidence statements. When I had enough, I went to the authorities." "You son of a bitch." Jack lunged toward me, but Uncle Michael and my cousin Daniel stepped between us. Sarah's composure cracked completely. "I told you we were taking too many risks," she hissed at Jack. "I told you someone would notice the discrepancies." "Shut up," Jack snapped. "This is your fault, as much as mine. You were the one who convinced Wilson to invest his entire retirement fund." As they turned on each other, the sound of cars pulling up outside drew everyone's attention. Through the window, we could see 2 unmarked police cars and a black SUV with government plates. "That would be the FBI agents I called when I saw you arrive," I explained calmly. "They have been waiting for an opportunity when you were both together." Jack made a desperate move toward the back door, but my cousin Daniel blocked his path. Sarah began crying, mascara streaming down her face. "Tony, please," she begged. "I made a mistake. I never wanted any of this to happen. It was all Jack's idea, the investments, everything. We can work something out," Jack said, his voice suddenly conciliatory. "Family helps family right. That is what you always said." As federal agents entered the house, I walked over to stand directly in front of the 2 people who had once meant everything to me. "I forgive you both," I said quietly. "Not for your sake, but for mine. I needed to let go of the anger to move forward. But forgiveness does not mean there are no consequences for your actions." The agents read them their rights as my family watched in stunned silence. As they were led away in handcuffs, Sarah looked back at me one last time, her face a mixture of regret and fear. Jack stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched in defiance. After they were gone, my mother collapsed into a chair sobbing. I did not know she kept repeating, "I thought they had just made a mistake falling in love at the wrong time." I never imagined. My father approached me hesitantly. "Son, I owe you an apology. Many apologies. I should have stood by you, should have seen Jack for who he really was." "We all should have," Aunt Barbara added. "You were always the good one, Tony. The dependable one. We took that for granted." Uncle Michael put his arm around my shoulders. "You okay?" I nodded, surprised to realize it was true. "I am. Better than I have been in years, actually." The family reunion continued after the shock of Jack and Sarah's arrest subsided. Over dinner, I shared news about my company's recent success. The eco-friendly renovation business had expanded to 3 neighboring states, with contracts from several major corporations committed to reducing their carbon footprint. "I have a team of 30 people now," I explained, "all part owners in the company. I restructured everything, so everyone has skin in the game and shares in our success. That is remarkable," my father said with genuine pride. "You always did have good business sense." "Better than good," Uncle Michael corrected. "Tony has been featured in Business Innovators magazine last month." "Show them the article, Tony." I reluctantly pulled up the article on my phone, passing it around the table. The headline read, "Phoenix from the Ashes, How Tony Marshall Rebuilt His Company After Personal Devastation." "You never mentioned this," my mother said, scanning the article. "It says here you are donating 10% of profits to programs helping victims of financial fraud." I shrugged. It seemed like the right thing to do. What I did not share with them was the other major change in my life. After the family dinner, as I helped Uncle Michael clean up, he asked the question directly. "So, when do we get to meet this Amanda you have been seeing?" I smiled, thinking of the veterinarian I had met when I brought in a stray cat found at one of our work sites. 6 months of dating, and every day felt like a gift. "Soon," I promised. She wanted to give me space to handle today on my own. She understands this was something I needed to do for myself. She sounds wise, Uncle Michael observed. She is, and kind, and absolutely incapable of hiding her true feelings, which is exactly what I need. The healing had been gradual but profound. Weekly therapy sessions helped me process the betrayal and recognize that I was not somehow defective or unworthy of love. Meditation and exercise pulled me out of the darkest moments. New friendships with people who valued honesty and integrity above all else restored my faith in human connections. Most importantly, I had learned to set healthy boundaries. No more sacrificing my needs for people who would not do the same for me. No more ignoring red flags out of blind loyalty. No more measuring my worth through others' validation. You know what I realized through all this, I said to Uncle Michael as we finished loading the dishwasher. What is that forgiveness is not about excusing what happened or inviting people back into your life to hurt you again. It is about releasing yourself from carrying the weight of anger everywhere you go. Uncle Michael nodded thoughtfully. Wisdom earned the hard way is the kind that sticks. As the evening wound down, my parents approached me at the door. We failed you, son, my father said, his eyes wet with tears. Favored Jack all those years. Never gave you the credit you deserved. And when everything happened with Sarah, my mother added, we should have supported you completely instead of trying to stay neutral. Can you ever forgive us? I embraced them both. I already have. We all have blind spots when it comes to the people we love. All we can do is try to see more clearly moving forward. Driving home that night, I felt lighter than I had in years. The road ahead was open, unburdened by the past. Jack and Sarah would face justice for their actions. My family had finally seen the truth. My company was thriving, and for the first time since everything fell apart, I was genuinely excited about the future. The true measure of success, I had learned, is not in material wealth or even in relationships, but in how you respond when everything falls apart. Do you stay down, or do you build something better from the ruins? Do you let betrayal define you, or do you use it as a lesson in what really matters? I chose to build. I chose to learn. I chose to grow. Have you ever experienced betrayal from someone close to you? How did you handle it? And what did you learn from the experience? Share your story in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories of overcoming adversity. And remember, sometimes losing what you thought you wanted opens the door to what you truly deserve. Thank you for listening, and I hope your own journey leads you to peace and fulfillment.